Hi, welcome. I'm Tom, your host, and this is the DROPCAST Movie Poster Podcast Release Edition. This format is part of the Instagram blog Drop, and you can find us under @DropMacOfficial. We do reviews, news, and interviews that all have to do with the film business. We have a little release special today, and that is with none other than the man with the hardest name to pronounce, so I just call him Gabz. We will chat about this 1 year in the making piece for Lord of the Rings he did for Bottleneck, which will be released later today. So stay tuned, head over to our Instagram profile @DropMacOfficial to follow along with the art we're talking about, or check us out on YouTube for the video version. Gabz, welcome, my man. How you doing?
Hello, great. I'm doing fine. How about you?
I got off work today. We're gonna do this podcast. I'm gonna do it the Bounty Park podcast next. That's after you. So and this is gonna be this is a little fun fact for the people out there as well, because today's episode is gonna be with Matt Taylor. I hope, at least. He didn't get back to me yet on. He said he's gonna do it, but he didn't get back to me as of yesterday. If everything is on schedule, so.
Okay.
So you might have to jump in and do the Mandalorian podcast with us as well, but we'll see how that's gonna happen or not.
I haven't seen the second season yet. I'm afraid,
Okay.
but I can jump in. No problem. I sure loved the first season, so
That's great.
I'm a fan.
Why the kid is in the way, or basically of watching, or why didn't you?
No, I don't have the Disney Plus thing. Is it on?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So I don't have it. Plus, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say my kid is in the way of anything, but yeah, it's tough to find time
Yeah, that's what I
to
meant.
watch
I'm sorry. Yeah.
anything these days. Yeah, usually both me and my wife are kind of beat up by the end of the day.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, I got off my desk yesterday, but we were talking all day, and then I told you I had to grade some papers and stuff like that, and I was like working. I think I got off the desk at like around 10 p.m. So I was kind of exhausted too.
It's still not that bad. While working
Yeah.
on Lord of the Rings, which we are about to discuss in a second,
Exactly.
I've spent like I don't know how many evenings, and by that I mean till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
3 a.m. sometimes.
Tough
So
schedule.
I
Those
know
kids.
pain yeah, but plus I like working late hours.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly, before I still have to get up in the morning, and that is the tough part.
Yeah,
obviously.
I understand. But first of all, before we get into the print, as I mentioned in my little introduction, your name is really hard to pronounce. Could you give us the
Okay.
proper pronunciation for everybody out there?
Okay, listen, internet. My name is Grzegorz Domaracki, but you can call me Gabz. I went with the nickname because I'm aware that for most of you guys out there, my name is simply unpronounceable. So it's all good. Gabz is fine. Greg is actually fine too, because it's an English equivalent of my name. So Greg is fine too.
Yeah. Quick question though. Your brother, he doesn't
Yes.
want to be called Crabs, right?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's quite easy explanation to this. In English, crabs means a sort of disease nobody would like to have. Sort of genital disease. So in short, I wouldn't like to be called something like that either. His name is Krzysztof, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
If you wanna learn how to pronounce it, but you can call him Chris or Kay or
Yeah.
whatever you guys want. But not crabs, just not crabs.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think he enjoys his nickname sounding too close to Gabz.
But it's a brother thing, so.
I mean, I don't want to judge that. That's his sort of stance
Yeah.
on the topic, and I respect that.
Definitely.
But is Chris too hard to sort of
No.
write?
I mean, his name is way easier than yours, so.
You would say? I mean, it also has quite many Z letters.
Yeah, I know, but I think from I mean, when you look, for example, when you compare it to Frozen, for example, where the guy's name is Christoph, so
Yes.
it's kind of close, you know. It's easier to, I think it's easier than yours with the sh and then the sh again, you know.
Yeah, it's the je. Not sh, but-
Je. See.
But-
You know what I'm saying?
yes. Okay. My name is harder, I guess.
Okay, so let's get into the print. I'm gonna show the world out there who hasn't seen it yet, and it's first of all the regular version of the Lord of the Rings piece. Soak it in for a second here. It is
before.
very, very, very interesting. First question here. You, where did you come up with like the folding kind of religious way? Is it from the religious famous painting? I forgot who did it, but does this kind of
Well,
style?
it's not a specific painting to be fair.
Mm.
Though obviously what you're sort of guessing is the inspiration. I did take the inspiration from Renaissance paintings in general, and obviously triptychs back then were done often as altars, so they should be able you should be able to close them down, actually creating another piece, but that's a sort of different story. But in short, I mean, the whole plan for the trilogy was similar to my previous releases with Bottleneck Gallery, both Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Hope you guys are familiar with those two. And the idea was to sort of, fit three movies on a single artwork, but create a triptych with left, right panel, and of course, center panel. But in this particular case, I really wanted a sort of classic fantasy / Renaissance feel to it. That's why I went with the sort of massive golden frame with I don't know, forgot the word how it's called, but those things which help sort of close
The hinges.
hinges. Thanks, yeah. So I added those. Actually, small little note. I'm not sure if anybody noticed that, but the frame gets more eroded towards Mordor. So the left panel is almost clean, almost
Yeah, you can see
not.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, still kind of eroded, but not super dirty and stuff. And towards the right side of the artwork, right panel, it gets more destroyed. Anyways,
Um,
so that was the basic.
I'm gonna ask a tough question here.
Yeah, go for it.
It's probably I don't know if you're gonna be offended by it, but here goes.
I'm sure.
Is it possible to cut each piece into their panel part and put it into an actual panel like that?
I mean, I don't know, because that would be, I mean, unless you would somehow cover the frame, it would be frame within the frame. I mean, eventually people will frame it.
Yeah.
but there's a border and stuff, so I think it works. And I'm not sure if I'm picturing it. I mean, if somebody would have done it, it might look cool, but I'm not 100% sold. Either way, I'm definitely not offended by that question.
Okay, good. I mean, it's like in the end, it's like destroying art in this sort of sense, like cleaning up the Mona Lisa. Oh no, what was it? This painting in Spain or somewhere where the cleaning lady.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, if somebody wants to try it out, I'll be happy to see the results. One note. Actually, I had the artwork test printed, which I usually do that
Yeah.
to see all the details and stuff. And once I showed it to my brother, mentioned Krzysztof, to my brother, he said he really needs to see it in a larger scale. So I don't know. One day I might print it sort of larger, and who knows if I would cut out the artwork and sort of create a special frame for something even larger. Maybe that would look pretty amazing.
I was imagining actually like as you have the frame already on there, but covering it a little bit and having actual hinges, to turn that. I think that would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, who knows? But do bear in mind that the whole idea of hinges, actual altars, is that once you close them, you have another artwork on the backside. And
that's where all your beautiful portraits come in.
Okay,
there you go.
That's the plan.
Okay, people out there, everybody's gonna make that now. It's steal my idea. It's fine, but I want to see the results.
Yes, that's
okay.
That's how it should work.
The first version I showed is the regular version. It is a timed edition. It is available from tonight, Wednesday, till Sunday. It is also 36 by 24 inches, and it will cost you $65 with Bottleneck Gallery. So head over there and grab one of those beauties if you can't get the variant or the both variants or the foil edition, then don't hesitate and grab also a timed edition, because that's definitely something you will enjoy. I got already a couple friends on. I told them the timed edition is going to come. It looks beautiful. Check it out. And people are buying tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. So that's going to be nice.
That's great.
Um,
That's great.
do you know what is the paper that is made on? Because I showed a couple of seconds ago, I showed the variant already. It has a different background. It's a dark paper, I guess. But what is it? What is the regular and the variant printed on?
Yeah, okay. So first thing, while you were mentioning regular, I guess it's worth also mentioning the number of screens, colors,
Yeah.
which will be 20 in case of regular, while both variants, I know the third variant will show in a bit, but both variants will have 14 screens, so 6 colors less. And going back to what you just asked, I'm afraid I don't know the specifics of the paper yet,
Yeah.
because the print hasn't been printed yet. I'm afraid. But as soon as I'll know, I'll somehow update the posts, or we'll let you guys know.
In the comments.
What's
In the
that?
comments.
Or yes, in the comments, or in some other way, just make a post, separate post. Who
Yeah,
knows?
sure.
But as far as variant goes, I also saw somebody ask me about that in the comments. Long story short, I mean, I don't think it will be printed on black paper. That's what I can say, because I know it's tricky for the printers. Printers usually try to avoid this. Of course, it sometimes happens and can give great results. For example, my brother's Predator was printed on black and it turned out great. But in this case, I think we're gonna go with light, sort of not white, beige, something paper, and black is just gonna go on top, including the border,
Okay.
which I know may be confusing for you guys, but it's gonna be like the last color, and it's gonna still look fabulous.
Yeah.
I
I
trust.
think it looks in the variant version, it looks a little bit greenish, I would say, but I don't know
Yep.
if like fitting to the tone of the print.
Yes, actually, it's not black. It's like sort of black with a hint of green.
Okay.
You are correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
And then there's a gold foil version. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going back to the variant for a sec here. The variant is available 450 times and will cost you $75. So if you have a chance, grab that one. That's my favorite. I got lucky already. There was a pre-sale, and I got lucky to grab one of the variants, and I'm really happy with that because that's definitely my favorite version. As yours as well, right?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of torn between both variants.
Okay.
But most of my my brother well, actually, my brother prefers foil, but most of my friends prefer the variant.
Mm.
I think it's in many ways very close to some of the scenes from the
Yeah.
movie. Then again, I think regular also. And basically, I'm just going to tell you that, guys, like straight away, I love all three versions. But if I had to pick, I guess I would go with variant for now. And as soon as I see the printed foil, I hope this one will become my favorite, because it definitely has a potential to be my favorite.
Speaking of the foil looks really interesting in the way of the frame. All the frame is going to be in gold, right?
I mean, it's gonna be sort of gold-like colors and possibly metallics. I mean,
Okay.
I will definitely point it out to the printers that these need to be metallics. So I suppose it's gonna be the case. And so it will have some sort of shininess and glitter sort of feel to them. But yes, as far as foil goes, it will be super gold shiny foil, but with two colors printed onto the foil. So it's not gonna be
Okay.
sort of flat gold, just flat gold, shining while you look at it. But it will also have two screens on it, slight touch of shadows and some strongest lights. But it's way more subtle than on other versions. For example, on the regular, there are like 6 colors on the frame itself, plus appearing on other areas. But let's focus on the frame at this particular moment.
I'll pull up the frame for a second there too. So is that the part where the gold comes in, basically the foil part?
Yes, well, I'm not totally sure which image you
I pulled up
showing.
the frame where you can only see the frame and the ring and the rings, basically.
Yeah. But I think I sort of gave you two images.
Oh yeah.
One,
I picked the lighter
sort
one.
of black.
I picked the lighter one.
Okay, so I think that's the finished frame. So yes. Sorry, what was the question? What was I
Yes,
supposed to
was this what we can see here in the frame and all, like, and the rings? That's going to be the gold part, right? The foil part.
Yes, on gold foil, this is only where the foil appears. It won't be on any other part of the image. The artwork on each panel, it's gonna be like flat colors, maybe also with metallics. I'm not sure yet which ones. I'm gonna be discussing that with the printer once it happens.
Okay,
The
that's really
start.
really interesting. The foil is also available, but only 275 times. So set your alarms, people, at 6 p.m. European Germany time, 5 p.m. UK time tonight at Bottleneck. You will be lucky to grab one if you have the chance, and it's gonna cost you $85. So head over there now. When you're listening to this, head over there in. That should be probably then when it's going to come out in 45 minutes, and you might get lucky. Okay, so moving back now from what we talked a little bit earlier, I was wondering, I mentioned that you've been working on this project for over a year now. How did it all start? How did you get in? Like, did Bottleneck contact you? Did you contact them? How did this whole process begin to happen?
Okay, so basically, I mean, I have a pretty close relationship with Bottleneck Gallery, like with some other galleries actually. But anyways, we spoke briefly about doing Lord of the Rings back in July 2019 when I had a solo show with them and Grey Matter back in New York.
Yeah.
And the topic just sort of kept coming back in a sense that Joe really pushed me to sort of we should make another trilogy piece, and myself being a fan of Lord of the Rings among other famous trilogies, I was like, let's do this. But I wouldn't say it took a whole year in terms of process, but we definitely started talking about it way back. But the process itself, it started closer to March, I'd say March or April of 2020, with some breaks in between. So it's not like I was doing it from March till now. I had to shuffle a few other projects in between, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example, the cover art, anyways. But summing up the amount of time I've spent on this particular project, I would say it was closer to 4 months of first sketching, which took around a month, pencil drawings, including all the panels as well as the frame. I would say would also be something close to a month, maybe even a bit more. And then the coloring, polishing likeness and adding all the necessary details, that would be like that extra 2 months, including separations and stuff like that. So in general, 4 months, but we talked about it for quite a while as well.
Would you say this is the longest project you ever did?
Definitely, yes. I've never spent this much on a single print, even including Star Wars trilogy and Indiana Jones trilogy. So previous prints I've done with Bottleneck. This definitely beats everything else I've done so far. Not just in terms of how much time it consumed, but also the amount of detail and the level of detail.
Coming off that answer, would you say also the Lord of the Rings trilogy is your favorite trilogy?
What should I answer since the sale is in an hour?
I mean, people are gonna.
No. I wouldn't say it's my favorite trilogy of all time. I think I still vote for Star Wars. I'm a more of a lasers type of guy than
sci-fi.
Yes, if I have to choose, of course. But I guess the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings would be a close second.
Yeah. We're gonna come.
Well, maybe it's fair because Indiana Jones actually is also.
There you have it.
Actually, I'm doing it in an exact order. I like the trilogy.
Harrison Ford comes up top in every way, and then Harrison Ford comes up on top in every way.
Yeah. Yes. He's clearly the winner here. Yes.
Okay. What I wanted to go into next is, I mean, we've talked about or we mentioned some of the details and some of the things you've done with this trilogy or with this triptych. I want to know from you where did you start creating this? Was it the frames? Was it the characters? Who was the first character you draw? And how did we get to the final version of the print?
Okay, so I basically started with the main artwork, so not the frame. Frame came last, so I'm gonna maybe talk a little bit more about it later down the road. So I started with the left panel, and to be exact, with the top part of the left panel, because well, let me start by saying that normally I would probably print a sketch on a larger canvas and just draw the entire thing on a one piece. Maybe except for the idea I had from the beginning, I did want to have the frame separate. But let's say I would draw the entire artwork on a larger paper sheet and and just draw it from left to right, like I usually do. But because COVID struck, obviously, and we were in lockdown, I wasn't able to print it as big as I initially wanted. So I went with sort of alternative route. I went down the alternative route and printed separate A4 sheets with parts of the artwork. And again, I started with the left panel, then drew the middle, and because actually, and there was a time gap between the left panel and the center part. As mentioned, during that time gap, I had other projects to work on. So when I started drawing the middle, I actually wasn't that pleased with the left panel pencil drawings anymore, as I used to back when I drew them. And by then I also purchased my new favorite toy, which is this. Oh, it's handy. It's right here. My magnifying lamp.
You look like a doctor.
Or a jeweler.
Oh yeah,
jewelry
that's
guy,
right. That's right. Yeah, looking at them diamonds.
That's exactly the thing I also use to watch diamonds. I'm just kidding. So this is the lamp I was using while drawing the middle section, and thus it will turn out way more detailed than the previously drawn left panel. So I had to go back to the left panel and add details while using the magnifying lamp. And of course, the right panel, which came last, was also drawn with this handy tool. And I also used a different mechanical pencil, because at the very beginning I only used 0.5 mechanical pencil bleeds, so still very sort of thin. But towards middle, and as it turned out to be, eventually on the entire artwork, I switched to do 0.35 mechanical bleeds, so even thinner, even more precise, and the drawings became even more detailed. So once I had the middle, right, and left panel slightly adjusted, I just scanned the whole thing, and the whole process in which I'm not sure if you want me to describe just now or
just wait for a second, because I have a question on the sketch. But when you started with each panel, basically, what is the first thing that you draw? I mean, did you have like a sketch on a piece of paper where did you already know where every character would go, or what was the first stroke?
You know basically? What I can show you. First of all, for example, here are two drawings from the left panel. So we have the Arwen. I even sort of in this particular case I even cut it to sort of match those. Yeah. But actually later I wasn't doing that anymore. But in this case I really wanted to sort of match them. So let's say focusing on the Arwen one, I usually start with likeness. So I think I started with was it Elrond? Hold on, I hid my helpful JPEG with all the names, which I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's Elrond there in the corner.
So yeah, I started with Elrond likeness, and usually I just go from left to right actually. But in this particular case, let me show you guys this again. The background came last. So first the characters, and then the background. On this one, for example, I definitely started with Legolas, and then just moved towards bottom. I tend to draw from left to right, from I guess obvious reason, but in case it needs explaining, I just don't want to rub the pencil with the palm of my hand while drawing. So yeah. So does that answer your question?
That does. Because I'm not an artist, but I wonder, so do I just draw like a round shape where a face is gonna go? this is the kind of idea
I mean,
I have.
well, if you're sort of a free drawing type of guy,
Yeah,
you
I'm
just
not.
sort of sketch the nose, where eyes gonna be, and you just go with it. But with something that is to be a sort of a print, something very detailed, a poster, like something that I had to make a sketch for to be approved and such. Obviously, I already have a sort of line work which helps me sort of
Okay.
to visualize who is supposed to be where, because I mean that would add a huge amount of time if I would be just sort of looking at the sketch and okay, I'm just gonna be drawing Legolas now, and let's say I shift Legolas just a tiny bit, and then I have to move a lot of stuff around. It makes the whole process way too complicated. So if the viewers and you want to know, I do sketch everything quite precisely. Where's the elbow? Where's the arm? Where's the sort of nose? Where's the top of the head and stuff like that. I have a sort of line work of all the characters previously sketched and printed, and so it's a very very light line work printed, and I draw over it.
Okay.
Some call it tracing, and I think it's a fair term to use, but only to a to a degree where you still need to add shading and all the details, eyes,
it's more like it's more referencing in that case. Have to.
I mean, I don't mind it being called tracing, but it's not 100% tracing. I would say it's more like a helpful sort of sketch.
Yeah, it's a framework. It's like
why use sort of a printed sketch.
Yeah, it's some helping guidelines for you to create the rest of the beautiful art.
Yeah. I was quite relieved when I saw a video recently that Drusen did the same thing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Some sort of projector device for it, and now it's 21st century, so why not use printer?
Exactly. You also you gave me this very beautiful file where all the characters and scenes or like places are in the print. Is that one of the first things you did before you started drawing? And I think one of your friends helped you with that, right?
I mean, yes. I mean, kind of both. First of all, I mean, I did that once the sketch was completed, and it was part of the files I was sending for approvals. I figured it would be helpful for the licensor, the studio, to sort of I not just see we not just see what's on the future print and the sketch, but also I can sort of read what is included, whose likeness is included, and stuff. And I figured it would be helpful to have that. And as far as that friend of mine you've mentioned goes, it was more in terms of his help. His help was it was extremely helpful for him to be at the sketching phase, because he's a huge. His name is Michael. He's a huge Tolkien and Lord of the Rings fan, and he basically helped me a lot when it comes to who definitely needs to be included, what locations are crucial for this sort of story and stuff. Obviously, I had an idea from the start, sort of, when I showed him sort of my first drafts, I already had Frodo in the middle and most of the characters were left, right. But we still sort of, came up with the let's make a list of all the crucial characters, who needs to stay, who can go, and stuff like that. And it was very helpful to sort of have a buddy with all that knowledge that he has to sort of figure it all out.
Yeah, definitely shout out to him for helping.
Yes, shout out Michał
to making this happening.
Absolutely.
What I was wondering on since how many do you know the number of how many on there? I don't want to count right now, but do you know? 1, 2.
No, to be honest, I haven't counted them myself. But as you can see, at least
it's about 40. 40.
30, 40. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't counted them.
Who was the most fun or your favorite to draw?
Favorite?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Sauron.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Because no likeness included, plus he has a badass helmet.
Nobody complained,
I enjoyed Saruman. Gandalf was great to draw. Actually, it would be easier if you asked me which were tougher to draw.
That would be my next question.
Okay, so maybe let's proceed to the second question then. There were 3 characters that I struggled with most. and they are Aragorn, whom I had to redraw like 3 times until I was finally happy.
Yeah,
Frodo was very tough.
I'm showing the sketch right now from the original version, and then I'll pull up the final version so people
Okay.
people
I
can
think people
compare
should
that.
notice how much it differs because on the original drawing, for example, his nose was potato looking a bit. I was very happy with it actually when I drew it, but then I sort of compared it with the reference, and I was like, no, he's a bit off. Then I changed him and got some messages that it's still a bit off. You can guys see it in my Instagram profile. There are all 3 versions. And the third one was actually redone in Photoshop almost entirely in terms of face only, and I really think I pulled it off in the end. The second character that was most difficult to me during the process was Frodo. That's because he's very sort of boyish, childish looking. His face is, very. In that terms, it's very difficult to draw because the more lines you add, the older he looks, the uglier he looks. So you gotta be really careful with that.
Was it hard because you have
Yes.
you made this close up shot of the regular version, and you have Galadriel basically next to Frodo. Was it hard to get their likeness, because you mentioned that there's a difference between drawing a male and a female character here.
Yes. I was actually heading towards the
Oh,
third
okay.
character that's most problematic, and it's Galadriel.
Okay.
And as just brought it up, yes, we briefly spoke about it already. Let me repeat that. I mean, anybody who draws portraits probably knows that when you draw a female, especially good-looking female, to put it this way, handsome female, if you will, you got to be careful with the amount of lines on her facial features, because the more lines you add, you're risking that she will look older, or even turn a bit uglier than she actually is. And same applies to, let's say, kids, young men, and men looking like Elijah Wood, very boyish, as I already said. And quite opposite when you draw an adult male, especially a guy with a beard like Gandalf. You don't really have to worry that much about sort of how many lines you have, because I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's something that just is.
Yeah.
You gotta have a slightly different approach when you draw a female and a male. That's at least my stance on it, and I think anybody who draws would agree with me on
Yeah.
that. So summing up, the most difficult characters to draw on this particular artwork were Aragorn, Frodo, and Galadriel, because she's a female. She's pretty. Like Kate Blanchett is a very beautiful looking lady. But she's very tiny on the print, and her likeness was really hard for me. I don't even remember how many times I approached her likeness, but let's say 5 or 6 until I was finally happy.
Do
And now she looks great.
can you
Yes.
finish a day at work before you or before it's done? Like, in terms of, if you, for example, if you did
No.
Galadriel, would you
I
leave the
mean-
office before it's done?
I mean, well, yeah. So here's the thing. Normally, I would just say no, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
When I'm not happy with something, I won't be able to sleep until it's I'm happy with it. But then again, sadly, it happens sometimes that I think I'm finished. But for example, I'm okay. I'm just gonna finish Galadriel. I'm gonna call it the day. So I'm applying some fixes, blah blah blah. And then I usually do that. I sort of flatten the image and send myself a preview so I can look at it later when I'm off my computer. And then I often look at it and no, it's not finished yet. So so it's yes
Okay.
and no, because I try, but it's not always the case. Sometimes, of course, I succeed, and then it's like, yes, finally I can move towards other areas of the artwork. But sometimes it's like after having a break, I don't know, putting my daughter to sleep, let's say, I check my phone and the image from earlier, and I'm like, no, it still needs fixing. So I guess I have a plan for the next day already.
I mean, you created the Gollum piece during the time period when you started and finished it. And how important was Gollum for you? Because when you look at the print, you cannot see. I mean, you can see in the left panel, you can see his face a little bit ish.
Yeah, I mean,
But
he's very tiny, and
yeah,
actually, it's that I used that glimpse of Gollum from the Fellowship of the Ring, which I loved. I remember seeing it cinema, and I love how they hinted
yeah.
Gollum, sort of towards the end. I think it's not at the very end, but like towards the end of the first movie. So I really wanted to use that reference, and basically he's pretty much the same as in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm.
But like you said, he's very tiny. His facial features are barely visible, and obviously the one in the center is well way more prominent. But he's not looking at us because he's guiding Frodo to Mordor,
Mm.
and that was my initial idea. But I kind of was torn and hated the fact that I won't be able to draw his facial features because who doesn't love Gollum
Yeah.
and the circus, performance as Gollum. So, like you said, while already working on first panel, I think I just decided I'm just gonna draw an OG portrait of Gollum, which I did initially just for my own pleasure, so to speak. Sort of like I said, I just want to draw his face. I'm gonna draw his face. But I also reached out to Joe eventually and asked him if, well, since you have a likeness, maybe we can have it as a separate Giclay print. He said yeah, and we released a Golden print
Okay.
around May, or when was it? I don't remember.
Yeah,
So,
April,
but
May or somewhere.
behind it, yeah.
Yeah. So here's a proposal. How about you're gonna do all the characters and places in a mini series for Bottleneck in mini pieces? Thoughts?
I'm pretty sure Joe would say, fuck yeah to this. And I'm not saying no, definitely. I mean, it sounds like a great idea. We actually have a planned OG based portrait series with Joe already for a different franchise. Also very well known, and it's a franchise for which I've done some art before. But it's definitely up in the air. Also, the idea of making something similar in terms of OG portraits for Lord of the Rings. Plenty of great characters, like you said. Maybe not locations, to be honest. Though I might, I might think it over. But definitely characters, including bad guys, good guys, smaller roles, and such. That would be a great idea. Maybe even smaller sizes, because I keep hearing people saying that it doesn't have to be always 13 by 19 inch, because either way, even if it would be like 6 by 6, you would be able to cover a whole wall when it's like 50 or
Yeah.
60 portraits. So who knows?
It's gonna be.
I mean, I'm open to it, but not like it's anything solid or confirmed
Yeah.
yet. But it's an option, definitely.
Okay, so people, you heard it here first. If it's gonna happen, save your money now because it's gonna be 60 portraits for $1,000 probably.
Or more.
Or more. I don't know. You need to live exactly. Make it more.
No, I don't know. Don't worry. Don't judge.
I wasn't calculating in my head, so I can't tell. Okay, so you've done a lot of drawing, a lot of sketching. How much do you know? Like how much time just the sketches took?
Yeah, I think we kind of covered that already. But I mean, I don't know exact hours. Somebody also asked me about how many hours.
Yeah.
I can't tell you hours,
Okay.
but in days or weeks, I can say at least like 5 weeks would be the drawing itself. Well, here's a funny sort of fact, because for now we've mainly been discussing the artwork itself, but the frame came last.
Oh yeah, that's right.
When I was slowly approaching the end of the artwork, I was happy with the colors, all the finishes and final touches. I knew I still have a frame to draw, and I told my wife that I guess I'm gonna need like a week, maybe 10 days, because it's gonna be like just draw the frame, just apply some color, and it's gonna be finished. But then I printed the sketch of the frame on let me show you again, maybe. Printed the frame on separate A4 sheets, and it came 8 of these. I had to draw 8 of these. So I remember going back home back day to my wife in a pretty grumpy mood and saying, no, it's not going to be 10 days. It's going to be at least 3 weeks. And sadly it was the case, because like it was the case with the artwork beneath the frame. It's not just pencil drawing of the frame, but then you have to scan, color it, and then color it on top, which is very time consuming. So it was like
And How was it? How did it work in terms of fitting it all together? Since you've done these, as you mentioned, for example, in those eight different A4 sheets or whatever they are, for the frames, but the others you also have in different pieces.
Yes.
How did you fit them all together?
I mean, as mentioned, sort of previously, I had it all sketched out to the actual
Yeah.
format, like 36 by 24 inch, right? So I just had to sort of figure out what should I print on, sort of which paper size to sort of later be able to mix them, together. But since you ask, maybe it's worth pointing out that both left and right panel were printed on A4 sheets, 3 paper sheets for each.
Yeah.
So like, 3 paper sheets, and not entire, because let's say I've managed to squeeze most of the left panel on actually 2 paper sheets, but only needed some background on another. But it wasn't like full.
Yeah.
4 paper sheets. But then again, the middle piece was larger, and I didn't want it to cut it in half and make 4 A4 sheets. So actually, this was a little bit later, as I mentioned. So I was able to print it on a larger A3 sizes. So it's actually bigger. So it's like A3 size. I can show you guys, and it's like this big. You might. Sorry.
All good. All good.
Yeah, you might be a little bit surprised that you can't see Frodo. But I drew Frodo separately because I wanted him a little bit bigger because I knew he's going to be crucial.
Yeah.
And as you can see, sorry, let me point it out again. On this particular drawing, his face was like way too tiny to get his likeness right.
Yeah.
So I drew him separately on a A4 sheet.
Yeah. That's
to have him a little bit bigger.
okay.
A little bit bigger.
And is that basically you scan those and then you put them together in Photoshop? Like you have to see where it connects, or?
Yes, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, I scan every pencil drawing separately, of course, and then I throw them back into Photoshop. Since I have the sketch line work,
Yeah.
I sort of put each scanned drawing beneath the line work and sort of try to sort of match it with the line work, right? But of course, I gotta erase a lot of stuff. Those white background where let's say on this example, right? So I gotta erase that, sort of combine with what comes underneath it, the background with Mountain of Doom, yeah, that's the one. So yeah, stuff like that, yeah, needs to be done to make the combined into one large piece, and then frame comes separate. So
exactly, yeah. I mean, obviously there's some color in it, and you mentioned already that took a minute. What was the process here? You gave me the flat colors, for example. In what stage are we now?
Okay. So if you, I'm guessing you pulled up the color image.
The flat colors.
So
yeah.
Some of you guys may be surprised that it looks kind of not that great. So let me explain my process here. It actually takes like several days even to make something. Oh, sorry for that.
Don't worry.
That was a phone call. So actually, it sometimes takes even several days. Like in this case, I basically need to have a selection of each part of each image. Each part of the image. So let's say green pants, brown belt, red hair, stuff like that, background. On this image you're seeing, I also applied some gradients, but they are very sort of simplified. Only sort of this part could be darkened, this part could be lighter. But in short, I really need and use a lot those selections of each color. That's why I want faces separate, hands.
Is that the basis for the separation in terms of the printing process as well, or?
No. Actually, you can use some of those selections later, like for example, but rather like larger selections, let's say frame selection and stuff like that. But no, you don't need sort of pen selection to make color separations, because there are too many colors above.
Yeah.
It's too many details are on the pen, so it's not just one color anymore. It's plenty. But it's a reasonable question, but the answer is no. So basically, when you guys see those color, imagine that the drawing on a multiply layer style comes above it. So basically, you only see nuances of the colors. It's not that flat looking. I've just sent the image to Tom to sort of maybe make it easier for me to explain how my process looks like. So basically, we have those colors, which, like I said, sometimes take several days. Then there's the drawing, which is on top, multiplayer layer style. Once I'm happy with the colors, I apply colorize to the drawing, and by that I mean I sort of make it brownish / red, slightly saturated. But I also use mentioned selection of colors, where it's green, where it's blue, where it's red, and I also apply some extra sort of colorize to the drawing. This way it blends a little bit more with the colors underneath. And I have what I call a sort of base, which I don't want to sound cocky, but I guess a lot of people would call it a finished piece by then. When we have drawing, we have colors. I guess it looks great. It could look great to a lot of people. But I'm like, okay, this is where the,
This is where the fun starts.
This is where the fun starts. And I mean, by that, I mean 500% zoom in some cases, sometimes 800 even zoom, but sometimes 200 zoom, but never 100%. It's too small. And I just apply all the details you can imagine on the background, on the water, on the, of course, the likeness. That's when I start fixing likeness. So I see whether I can make the light in the eye slightly to the left and stuff like that. All that stuff is necessary for me to feel to the work is finished and complete. And it takes weeks. We're talking like 2 months of just in general of both frame and the main artwork of just polishing the colors.
Great. Quick question on the flat colors. Do you use all just this kind of palette for all the different versions? Because when you look at the regular, the bottom part is like bluish, and when you look at the
yes. Well, actually, that's a very good question. Because here's the thing: when I apply those sort of flat, hard brush colors beneath the drawing, I'm probably adding time to my process, but basically that's how I do it. That sounds silly, but I prefer having sort of natural, almost like reference like colors. I look at the references I was given, or the sketch I was delivered to the studio and gallery, and I sort of now first I want sort of each character to have their colors on their body. So the Frodo's coat needs to be gray and his pants needs to be brown, etc. But then as mentioned, I not only apply some colorize to the drawing and then extra colors on top of the drawing, but then come the adjustment layers on top, where I can sort of play with colorize and stuff like that. For example, I create a hue saturation adjustment layer on top, and I make everything blue, and I just erase it from the top, and then I pick a selection of all the reds on the artwork, and I also remove it from the blue, and you get that sort of bluish color overlay. I'm only talking about regular now, because in terms it's interesting for the viewers. I started with regular colors. When I was sending the sketches for approval, I also presented variant, though not full variant. Back then it wasn't even planned. But when I work on the final artwork, I stick to regular colors and basically plan to change them up a bit to match the variant colorway a bit later. That's
okay. That's very interesting. What would you say is your most favorite part of the piece?
It's tough to choose, quite honestly. I love the final title. I think it's worth mentioning now that my brother Chris K helped me with the title quite significantly, because originally on the sketch I actually had a very small title. It looked like a museum frame with just a small, very tiny Lord of the Rings, also engraved but very tiny. And I love this sort of new version with which my brother helped me. But if I had to pick like sort of my favorite part of the entire composition, it would be the center. I basically, I'm very, very happy with how Frodo works in the middle with the quote, but also with the ant on the left, the Nazgul on the right, Saruman and Sauron on top. It just creates this sort of medallion thing which I'm really happy with. I have to admit.
Yeah, there's one thing I would love to see. If you ever have some free time and want to do this, I would love just to see it. To have a villain version of it. Instead of the ring, have maybe the Eye of Sauron in the middle and change it all around and have Sauron or Saruman be the main instead of Frodo. And like,
Yeah, well, I can't promise you that.
yeah, I know. I'm just imagining here.
Because sorry, I mean it was like 4 months, and I think I need
I
a
know,
break
I
from
know.
Lord of the Rings and elves and dwarves and everything. But all jokes aside, I mean I was tempted at the beginning to propose something which my brother is often doing, and by that I mean make a different variant and like maybe not completely different, but in many ways different than the regular. And I was thinking that maybe at least maybe Frodo should look different in the middle on the variant, or some characters could be shifted. But man, after like 3 months of drawing and stuff, even
Thank
the
you.
idea of let's now make a different version, which would be like additional
Yeah,
weeks,
of course, totally
months. I
understandable.
was like, no, I mean, fans really need to appreciate the artwork as it is.
I do.
And I will just give them different colorways. One version will be on foil, and just take it or leave it.
Definitely. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm just saying, if you have ever some free time.
But it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea, but I mean, at this point I feel slightly burnout when it comes to
Yeah. I totally understand. That's
whole Tolkien sort of world.
yeah. It's something for the future. Maybe 10 years from now. I don't know. But like, because like you when we talked before, you mentioned also that you are like a villain. Like you like the villains in movies and franchise and stuff like that. And I like villains as well. So I love to see them.
Yeah, quite frankly, because yes, I did say that I have a soft spot for villains. I don't know why, but for example, my Star Wars sort of also had Vader in the middle, very prominent. So yeah, but I would say that in the Lord of Rings case, those bad guys are also they are in the center, pretty prominent. I wouldn't say they're like not unimportant.
Definitely not.
Sauron,
Definitely not. No, definitely not.
Definitely, play an important part in the middle panel.
Exactly. So are there going to be APs in the future?
Yes. The answer is yes. So, guys, first of all, I mean, good luck today. Later today at the drop. But in case you miss the variant, because it's worth reminding you yet again that the regular will be timed till Sunday, so you have plenty of time. But if you miss on any of the variants or regular, or you basically miss the drop in any way, I will have APs in future, probably around, I don't know, 8-10 weeks from now, maybe a bit longer, because it's also will take some time to ship to Poland. But I will have a significant number, maybe not huge amount of copies, but a significant number, and I'll be happy to sell them via my shop. I will definitely advertise the AP sale.
Yeah, we will too. We will too, so people will know who watched today and hadn't had a chance to get one. We will definitely point them to your shop.
That's great to hear. And if you guys follow me on my social channels, I'll make sure you won't miss the AP drop. So
exactly.
Don't worry.
So before we're gonna go, and before everybody out there is gonna buy your print, just give us a short movie review of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay, here goes. I mean, I would give a slightly different score for each.
Sure.
So I would say my favorite is the Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, the one of the best introductions to characters, fantasy book characters I've ever done. Great storytelling, great ending, basically, and it's worth sort of mentioning that at least I was among, I guess, majority of the fans that were slightly skeptical when we first heard about the cast, because some of the names weren't that known back then. I was like, right, Davies playing Gimli, like he was in Indiana Jones. That doesn't make sense.
Also, one problem with the Fellowship is no Tom Bombadil.
Okay, that's true.
That's my only problem.
Yeah, That's a minor issue. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if I remember the character from the book. That well, I mean, the names rings a bell,
Yeah,
but maybe it's been a while since I read the books. It was back when I was a kid. Our father actually read it to us, so I kind of know the movies better now than the books. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, hardcore fans. But yeah, that's okay. Anyways, again, Fellowship of the Ring turned out to be great. The casting was amazing. Everybody delivered. I really have absolutely pretty much no complaints. But since I'm very picky when it comes to giving score 10, 1 out of 10, giving my maximum score to the movies in general, I'm going to give it 9.5 to the Fellowship of the Ring. My second favorite in the trilogy would be Two Towers, which is basically also like phenomenal, great epic scenes, and I pretty much loved it. My main complaint would be, I guess, on the visual side. I wasn't a huge fan of how the ends were designed and sort of figured out. If I were a concept artist behind Lord of the Rings, I would definitely suggest that they should sort of look human, but human in terms of like sometimes when you go to a forest and this tree looks a bit like human because the branch is one branch is like this and the other is like a bit lower, and I didn't like the fact that they made them look like too human, like two legs, 2 arms, beard, mustache. I mean, some of them were better than others, but overall, I'm giving this part of the trilogy 9 or maybe 8.5. And the main minus is for the ends, how they are signed, not acted and stuff like that. And the third one is maybe a bit too long in my opinion. Though I'm pretty sure hardcore fans that bought Director's Cut would disagree. But I think a bit too much singing towards the end. The bad scene never was really that much of a fan. But still, epic sort of conclusion to the trilogy. And overall, the score I'd say let's say 8.5 again for the Return of the King.
Still a high score there.
At least 9. I'm not very good with math, but I think so. I guess a pretty good score for an amazing trilogy.
Alrighty, you heard it here first, people. So go later on now. I think you should have about maybe 2 more minutes until it drops. So go over to Bottleneck now and buy those prints. If you didn't get a chance to grab the foil variant or the variant number 1, go get the timed edition. It's available Wednesday till Sunday, and you can check out on the post. We will lead you all the way there. Go and grab your print. Thank you, Gabz, for stopping by. It's been a pleasure, and we will have you on soon for a longer interview version with just about you, not just your Lord of the Rings piece. So stay tuned for that, people. Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay. Thanks, man. Take care. Take care, guys.